We are joined by attorney Jeff O'Brien for our weekly 3 and Out. 3 stories, usually sports stories. They are today. And we just talk about them. So let's get, you know what, before we get started, I got to tell you something that Big Brother or somebody is listening in. I talked to Dave Bialke from Bialke Law. His motorcycle had been stolen, and he'd had a Harley, but now he's also looking at an Indian motorcycle, right? So he's talking about that. I get off the phone with him. I go over to Facebook to look for something. Guess what popped up immediately? An ad for Indian motorcycles.
Yeah.
I mean, does that happen to, well, it happens to all of us, but I mean, how long has this been going on? And it almost seems like it's not even legal, or if it's their site, they can do what they want and listen in. This AI is really, there's bad things about this.
Yeah, my wife would bring this up before, and I would doubt her. And then now I'm noticing more and more that this is happening. That if you search on a term on Google, or you're just talking in your house, whatever, and the next thing that pops up on your phone is something related to that. And
yes,
you're right. it's like, I was told at one point that the cameras on the laptops and stuff can transmit, data about you too, which is a little bit disconcerting.
Well, I cover my cameras on I don't leave them. And actually, I should put a piece of tape over my phone camera, but I don't, and I probably should. But I don't have, my cameras are not picking me up unless right now, I have a computer. I have a big screen that is running off my laptop, but my laptop, all my laptop can see is the bottom of that because I have it folded over. Not closed, but folded, so it's not seeing anything. But the big screen doesn't have a camera. Because I know when I heard that Mark Zuckerberg and these all these tech guys put tape over their cameras, I knew it was time to do it because things are, people are looking, or we're being seen by somebody and something.
Well, I can remember seeing a joke on X or someplace on social media a few months ago when they were having all the protests about Elon Musk and Doge, and they're at the Tesla dealerships and everything, and it was an AI generated image of, it was like some dude sleeping in his bed, and it was like 40 years from now, and his Tesla robot found out that discovered that his grandparents burned a Tesla dealership and was holding the pillow about to smother the dude.
Oh, that's sleep. Phenomenal. Okay, now that's funny. All right. Well, let's get to the 3 and Out. I don't know anything that happened with this the Visa Collier and Paige Beckers. I'm guessing it wasn't good.
I didn't see anything about that. I just know that they won again. I mean, they're 9-0.
Oh, okay.
They're one of 2 undefeated teams left in the WNBA.
The Lynx.
It's the Lynx and the Liberty, which would be, I would think would be hilarious, Bob, if this plays out all the way to this is obviously really early, but if this played out all the way so you get a WNBA finals of Minnesota and New York, that was the NBA finals we all wanted.
Yes. And how about if they both were undefeated going? It can't be because they'll play each other.
Yeah. Well, and then the Lynx, as if being undefeated isn't good enough, they added some more. They added this Russian player. There's a big story that all the international players are flocking to the WNBA. It used to be the opposite, but I think with some of the star power now that's in the WNBA, the international players now want to play in that league. And I forget what her name is, but it's a pretty important Russian player that the Lynx added. So the strong get stronger, I guess.
So this is after they started their winning streak, or she's been with them since the start of the year? Because I'm not really.
This was like in the late last week, early over the weekend.
Oh, all right. So they did get stronger. And you know what? I don't think it's I think they're coming because the money is getting better in marketing. The sponsorship money is getting better. They're making money off of that, and I think that's where they cannot deny Caitlin Clark has had an incredible impact on that league.
But I was reading a story, I think it was on The Athletic. There's a lot of chatter, Caitlin Clark obviously is out with an injury right now, that in her absence, you mentioned Nafisha, she's being touted as possibly a favorite now for the MVP with Caitlin Clark being out.
Well, but Clark's coming back.
I know, but you're still going to be gone for a while, and Nephesha Collier is putting up crazy numbers. I think she's leading the league in scoring right now.
Well, good for her.
Good for the Lynx. I mean, they're flying right now.
Well, I'm so happy for them. All right, now how about that Champlain Park softball team? 8 girls and a guy.
You know, this something is it really just it's just crazy. So and it's real. This game, this result has really attracted national attention. Riley Gaines and Simone Biles got into it on X.
Oh,
And
yes, they did.
Everybody's noting that with Simone Biles coming out, in favor of the having the transgender athletes playing with the biological males playing with women. It's interesting to note that she's retired and has all her Olympic gold medals.
Which Riley Gaines pointed out that if she was competing then and going against a guy, she wouldn't be so cocky.
Right. I saw that the Minnesota politicians doubled down on it. Tim Walz, and I don't know if Walz said anything, but I know that Ellison had a big long diatribe. And it's interesting that you had a week earlier, you had Tim Walz and Amy Klobuchar and all of them wearing their Minnesota Frost jerseys over at the playoff game and touting that victory. And I'm sure they'll be touting the Lynx anytime soon. But they never answer the question. So would you be okay with biological males playing in those leagues against those players? So seems to be a hypocrisy there. I honestly don't know about what the solution is here, but I don't think letting biological males play women's sports and winning these championships and possibly taking away scholarships and other opportunities.
That's the biggest thing.
Think that's the solution. What it reminded me of this Champlain Park game, because not only did the pitcher pitch a 6-0 shutout, but they also, I think, had like some key offensive plays, some hits and stuff. It reminded me, if you remember the original Bad News Bears movie with Walter Matthau and Jackie Earle Haley, when Walter Matthau's character told Jackie Earle Haley's character just to make all the plays to make sure they got into the playoffs or whatever, and the kid's running around the field catching every fly ball, stopping at second base and catching ground balls, getting all the hits. That's what this is reminding me of. Basically, we had a real life Kelly Leak, basically winning the game single-handedly on Friday.
Well, and not only that, 5 games in a row this kid pitched.
Yeah.
And I guess there's no restrictions like in baseball on the amount of time.
You would think there would be rules about that, but oh well.
Well, and also I always feel a need to point this out. I will defend the right of any kid or person who identifies as transgender. However, I draw the line at sports.
Yeah.
Because and you know what? Maybe there isn't a solution in terms of these politicians go out of their way to care about the feelings of an individual, of one or a few kids, or in the case of college athletes, adults, and disregard what it does to so many others.
Yeah. Well, part of it too, Bob, is at least in Minnesota, the trans community is such a strong vocal part of the Minnesota DFL party.
Yeah, you're right.
They really can't go against them. I remember a few weeks ago, I was talking about this to somebody, this lawsuit that was filed by, I think it's called Female Athletes United, against the state. It was Minnesota State High School League and against Keith Ellison, over claiming that, the current policy of allowing biological males to compete with women at the high school level violates Title IX. And I said to somebody, I think that Ellison welcomes this lawsuit, because he's like in a car with the brick on the accelerator. He can't get off. It's an 80-20 issue in favor of the Republicans of not letting this happen. But if the Democrats were to go along, there have been a few that tried to go along with it and they got crucified. So I think they're almost wanting the courts to step in and be the bad guys here, so that they don't have to be.
Outstate, every Democrat had an opportunity to basically vote to stop it, to stop biological males playing in girl sports at the high school level. But none of them had the we'll call it fortitude to step up and say this is wrong. And now this is and what it's going to do is it's going to just create a mess, because that Trump's is coming after California and Minnesota and Maine. I don't know if Massachusetts is an issue, but they're coming after him. All right, we got to go on to item number 3 here. Item 3, and NCAA, now they got to pay athletes, which
Yeah,
is fine with me.
I'll be interested. I will be very interested to see where this goes, how this plays out, and how this impacts what's been going on in college sports. You and I have talked about this before, about the NIL money and the transfer portal and these kids moving around all the time for because they, up until now, that's how they've been able to get paid, is boosters set up these NIL funds and pay the players.
Yep.
What this is saying is that the schools can now pay the players. We'll see if that has any difference between the NIL boosters versus regular boosters. But the issue really is, Bob, that college sports, particularly football and basketball, have on the men's side have evolved. They are essentially developmental leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. For the pros.
And kids, and there was a time where, I mean, maybe 50, 60 years ago, where these players would also be doing off the field, internships and whatnot, because they were pursuing a degree. They've dispensed of any pretense of that anymore, and those kids are expected to be training, conditioning in the weight room, devoting almost 100% of their time to their sport. And so if you're not going to give them the opportunities to go out and make income, this is just a necessary evil. It's going to happen.
Yep. All right, Jeff. Thanks so much, Jeff O'Brien. Take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back.